So I went to the grocery store yesterday because I was going to ShopRite here in New Jersey. I just got here yesterday because I wanted to visit some friends and, take a little bit of time to relax and do some research because this new job that I have is pretty tough. So I go out and we pick up the groceries, and suddenly next to us, I see this couple. And the husband, after looking to his Asian wife, I only bring up the race so that you guys can understand. He looks at her and he says, "Hey, you got this? I'm gonna go warm the car up." And so he goes inside the car to warm it up, and then he just sits there and chills while his girlfriend or wife is putting all the groceries in the trunk, and the trunk is open, so you can just see him sitting there and her doing the groceries. And I just thought it was hilarious that he's sitting there and going, "Hey, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go, yeah, warm up the car. You can put all the groceries away and do that. I'll just be in here warm." I just thought it was really funny. So yeah, welcome to the Jargon podcast. It's your host, Ruben Gutierrez, and today is gonna be more of an interlude episode. I had something else planned, but I think in the grand scheme of things, this works out because I wanted to kind of have something in between so that we have something to recollect ourselves with. There's been quite a few episodes, about five. And if you've ever listened to an album, you know that inside of them, there are interlude songs, like songs in between that kind of talk about the the direction of the album or just what's going on, maybe a little bit more personally, or sometimes they'll just throw a freestyle in there, you know? So I think that's really cool. And it's something that I want to do too. So I want to just start off talking about this new job that I have. So this job, as you guys already know, I'm a salesman now, essentially a car salesman. It is extremely difficult. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it is, but it really isn't. Every day I'm kind of putting in that work and every day I'm grinding. And so far, I haven't even made a sale, but I think that's okay. I'm glad that it's not as easy as I may have felt it was going to be. I'm glad that it's actually pretty difficult and I'm learning something through this. Trial and error is a very big thing for me. And I'm glad that I'm working through it and becoming more confident in myself as I'm learning the tips and tricks to kind of help people get their car and at the same time make a sale. Because for me, it's not really so much about making the money, it's about gaining that experience and learning the trade because it's a trade where you have to be speaking a lot and you have to be talking to these people, you have to understand them to a certain degree, and it really isn't for everyone. But I hope it's something for me. And I just know that I'll fail over and over and over and over again, and I'll still keep trying because that's just what I like. I like the process and I like trying to beat the odds. I've always been that type of person. I have a memory from when I used to go road tripping a lot with my friends, Jose and Adam. And there was this one day where we went to Georgia and we were going to visit our friend Johanna. And we were playing beer pong, as you know. We were like 21, drinking and stuff like that. And we were playing beer pong and I just kept losing. I was playing, so the teams were Jose and Adam versus me and Jaylene, aka the prodigy, the legend, in the making, which she's actually doing really great right now. She's about to graduate from UGA. But anyways, yeah, we were playing against Jose and Adam, and I just kept losing against him, and I was getting so salty, but I kept trying because I wasn't gonna quit. I wasn't gonna try to stop going. I was just gonna keep playing, and that's just kind of how I've always been. Even when I was losing, we were still having a good time, and I was still trying to make it through. And I think that just kind of plays into the whole aspect of when you forget about really winning and losing, and you're just going for the experience. You find that it's very rewarding and you have a great time doing it because you're not so focused on trying to win or trying to get up on them, even though I kind of was, but I was just having fun with it. And they were having fun too. Because I know a lot of times when people win all the time or when it gets, when things get repetitive, it kind of gets boring because it's the same thing over and over again. But even though they were winning, we were still having a good time. And I think that's just part of my nature from my past and the realization that I had recently why kind of everybody always tells me they miss the old Ruben and stuff like that. I think it was because then I really just didn't quit. I just kept going and I kept pushing myself forward and always wanting to take that next step to have a new adventure, have a good time. And even if I was on a losing streak a lot, I would always keep going. I would always have that mentality of, yo, I'm still the best. Yo, I'm still doing the best that I can do, and I'm still going to keep moving forward. And even then, I would push the people around me. I wasn't perfect or anything like that, and I wasn't doing anything grand. I was just living. And I think that's what's most important. I was living in the moment, and I was always trying to take that step forward, even if I was taking two step back. And I've always been a prideful person, but like I was saying, it wasn't because I was the best. It was just because I thought I could do it. I wouldn't let anything to deter me from my past or deter me from my path or try to stop me from where I wanted to go. Paving the way for my own vision and fighting for it in the best way possible. And with all the knowledge I had and everything that I had inside me is really where I guess the change happened because nowadays, or not nowadays, but recently, it's been very hard for me to keep going, and it's been hard for me to kind of continue on my path and just continue moving forward. But I've learned that with the people around me and the support that I've had recently, it's just a lot better, and I've been a lot more confident in myself and trying to find that kind of that kind of innocence or that energy that I've had before and pushing past it, like having that motivation, getting my spirit back in place and really gaining that focus. Little tidbits. But yeah, but even then I didn't know what the true feeling of failure and disappointment was. When the people around you disappear for the lack of faith or for their own reasoning, it's really hard. And it's also the part about growing up that we all kind of dread, where the moments that we used to have with people, they start to move towards their own path, and we all kind of separate and we don't spend time like we used to. But that's kind of how I thought it was. Now I know and I understand more, and I see that we can create better memories and different memories together. It's just now that we are grown up, we have different opportunities. And that's okay because change is important. And it shows that we're not afraid to take that next step towards something else. And that these memories that we've had don't replace the memories that we're going to have. It's just evolved. It's not always going to be the same thing. And it's something that I've had to cope with. I've had to embrace it within my own heart, and I've had to accept because it was a pain that I never knew I could feel, and it showed me that I cared a lot more than I thought about others and about myself. Because I always said, I don't give a fuck, it's not that serious, let's go, why not, let's make it happen. And I guess nowadays I realize that I may have been the one to give the most fucks. And that's what we call irony. Because nowadays I kind of miss all those old times, but I realize that these new moments and these new memories are going to be a lot better because we'll be in a different place in life and stuff like that. So I just want you guys to know, so don't give up on yourself or the people around you, because what's going on with you and what's going on with the people is important to your growth. And you want to keep them in your life at all times so that you can have those memories and share those important parts together. I have a story about how my friends were before. My friends John and Jason, they've come from far. They've come and done a lot now versus where they were. Jason, for instance, he was in a bad place and now he's in the military with a family, and he's still feeling some type of way, I guess, about things. But he's moving forward now, and he's got everything essentially he may have wanted in the past, and now he's just building upon it and maybe trying to find something for himself now truly. And Jonathan, he's had his own struggles, but he's here now and he's better. And recently they messaged in the group chat about how they're finding the inspiration that they wanted, and they're finding the motivation to kind of move forward with their true goals and make things happen. And I kind of made a little joke inside of it. I was like, I hope I was a part of the process in some way. And they sent me like the Michael Scott angry face meme. I sent it as a joke, but I think that's a great example of just to show that it doesn't really matter what you're doing or what others are doing. The most important part is understanding that in order for things to change, it has to come from within. In order for you to find that motivation, in order for you to find that will to change things around for yourself and in your life, it must come from you, because we can support you, we can motivate you at any times and at all times, but it will never be anything like what it feels like to bring yourself out of that hole, but we can pull you up. You just have to reach out. And I think that's what was pretty cool. And I just want to talk about, like, I guess, in terms of vices and stuff like that. So we all have our own vices, whether it's video games, drinking, smoking, stuff like that. What is it? Drugs and everything in between, you know? For me, ever since I've been young, my drinking quote has always been drink to remember, never to forget. You know, ever since I've been drinking that Aquafina, it's been my quote because I always saw the people around me growing up and the adults and stuff like that. They were always drinking to escape their problems or to escape something or to drown themselves in that numbness. But for me, whenever I drank, I always drank with friends and I always drank because I wanted to be happy with them and have a good time. So for me, drinking to remember, never to forget was always something that I wanted to impart to others because whenever we take shots or anything like that, it's always like, yo, we're drinking so that we remember these times, not so that we forget. Even though I've also blacked out quite a few times. It's the duality of life. We out here. We out here, that's for sure. And yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about where my name came from. So Alco Hero, since we're talking about drinking and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys ever remember the Trey song from a while ago. It goes like I can be an alcohol hero, bam. So I just shortened it to Alco Hero, and that was how Alco Hero came from the Ruben Hood Alco Hero. And so that's just like a little bit about the origins of my own name and stuff like that. So what is it to lie? To be honest, truth. What are these things that kind of envelop our own day-to-day lives, you know? Is it a good thing to lie to people? You want my answer? I don't think so. Is it always good to be honest with people? I'm not gonna lie. I don't think so. And what is the truth of all this? I in my own personal way, I think that to be honest means to not lie to someone, but also to understand their point of view and understand where they're coming from. So when you give them the truth, it's not just the unfiltered truth, but it's the truth that they need to hear. You know, if you see someone that's down on themselves and that they don't really understand that the resources that they have are enough for them to get by, and they're kind of being ungrateful in some way or just being negative, you don't have to just poop on them. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to just shit on their way of life or their way of thinking. There's always a perspective or a route that you can take so that people can understand what you're trying to say. It's just hard sometimes because if you don't care, it's just easy to kind of just blurt out the raw truth and kind of have them take it as what it is. And that's life. You just have to take it raw. But I think when it comes to relationships and the importance of ourselves and each other, it's always good to remember how it feels when you get hit with that and how you want others to be treated as well. Because it's always good to remember your friends and the people around you, but it's always good to remember how they feel about these things. Because if you want people to grow and if you want people to excel, you have to put yourself in their shoes a little bit and have a little bit of empathy. Just a little bit, though, They still need the truth. Everybody needs the truth. But with just a little bit of empathy, I think it'll hit a lot better and it'll hit to the heart so that they don't always push away because the society we live in now is a society of neglect and ignorance. And nobody wants to hear the truth. Everybody just wants to live in their own fantasy and live their own life and self destruct as fast and as beautifully as possible. And it's unfortunate. I wouldn't want anyone to live that type of way. And so it's kind of funny just going into like the episodes and stuff like that because I accidentally named Ashley's episode, which is a person that I did the collab with last week. I named her episode 7 on accident. It was just like a subconscious thing. And it was supposed to be episode 6. But I'm making episode 6 right now, which is the interlude. So in a roundabout way, it all works out. And that's like my own thing that I guess personally that I want to question. It's like, did it all work out or is this just another opportunity to take control of my life in another way and change how things appear to be? You know, the whole idea of the subconscious and how sometimes our bodies do things that our mind really wouldn't allow, or that our subconscious is sometimes trying to help us and give us that insight into where we are and see the future for us and how we see the future in and of ourselves. Because we're always developing that, It's a passive thing, like passive abilities in video games. It's something that And it's those passive abilities are like my favorite ones because I don't have to toggle them. They just kind of there. So like a double jump or something like that, or increase speed. Like I love those type of abilities. I love actives too, but passive abilities are really good because there's something that are ingrained within you. You know, there's something that develop over time, and when you really need them, boom, they just appear, and it's like magic. And so, for me, it's like how to defeat the subconscious. You know, the struggle of fighting what is already prevalent and recreating the world in your image. Or do you really even need to defeat yourself? Is it all about acceptance and understanding that, you know, it happened? Things are the way they are now, and so just trust the process. And I bring these questions up because I want you guys to think about it as well, and I want you guys to see maybe where it goes for you or how you feel about it, because I know that we all kind of struggle with our own inner battles and our own inner struggles. So really understanding where those come from and how to proactively react to them can help you in the future so that you can be the best version of yourself. So you never have to look back and think to yourself, I could have done that better. I could have done this better. Forget all that. Let's focus on what we can do now and be the best we can be. And that kind of falls into overcoming your fears. And it's an interesting thing, overcoming your fears, because for me, I have intense vertigo. I don't really know what to call it, but because I feel like when it comes to things like that, it has to be like a medical thing, at least for me. But I say I have vertigo, and what I mean by that is that whenever I get on a high place, even a second floor, 1.5 floors, 100 floors, I get like an intense pressure inside me, and I start to feel like as if I'm about to fall, or just the feeling, the fall, and it's that like that barrier that, ooh, I'm about to fall, I'm not falling. What's in between? What is that? The unknown that kind of gets to me. And so the other night I was at this bar that is downtown, and we went, me and my friends Adam and Erica, his girlfriend, we went up there, and while I was going upstairs, even though I couldn't even see the bottom, I was still like mentally hyperventilating and stuff like that. And for me, it was intense, but obviously I don't react physically to that. I'm just, it's all in the mind. And so when we finally get to the top and we sit down and grab a beer, before I sit down, I kind of like think to myself, like, okay, there's one or two ways this happens. The floor beneath me caves in and I fall, or everything is all good. And that is just it. And after I kind of told myself that a couple times, it was like I felt like a release from my body. It was like, and I felt calm. And so I told my friends that, Adam and Erica, I was like, yeah, this is something that happens to me all the time, and it's something that I've had to overcome and had to deal with, And sometimes, because we were talking about fears and stuff, and I was talking about how I like to go on roller coasters and stuff like that. It's just hard for me to get on roller. It used to be hard for me to get on roller coasters. Now I have this routine where I enjoy it a lot, and it's a lot of fun. But while I'm telling them, Erica goes to me and she says, you know, I think that's you overcoming your fear. And I'm like, what do you mean? And it's like, because it's a little different. It's not, you're not just pushing past it. You're like overcoming it because you feel a sense of calmness, and I didn't realize that. For me, I was kind of just trying to, I was trying my best to just, I guess, get over it. But it didn't click to me that I was overcoming my fear every time. And like, that's the whole, I think the main point that I want to get at is that every time I'm overcoming it every time. And every time it gets a little bit easier. And eventually, for you yourself, once that becomes a habit for you of overcoming that fear, accepting it, you'll feel this gratification, that rush, the feeling of like that fall, that exhilaration when you're on the roller coaster and you take that drop. And all you want to do is scream from the top of your lungs and feel that excitement. I think that's the feeling that I find most enjoyable now. And that's the feeling that I hope you guys can find for yourself once you feel that anxiety and you feel that bubble. And when that bubble bursts, that energy that springs forth from that is amazing. And you finding that for yourself will really be something that I think that you will find helpful to take those steps to the future for yourself. Because although it's very hype and it's very awesome, I always want to give you a sense of clarity that all these aspects are just little parts of you. And these little parts will eventually become congruent, and they'll become so much better for you, and they'll make you feel whole, and it's, for us, it's not about being perfect, it's just about being whole, for us to feel complete. and for us to continue moving forward because we have that hunger. Same way we get hungry to eat food, we have that hunger to be stronger, to be better, to always move past these limitations that we see for ourselves. And I think it's I think it's just interesting my love for heights and my fear of them, and like it's the insanity that I balance between myself all the time, like being calm, being irrational, moving through those emotions and kind of like having a grasp of yourself. And another memory that I want to talk about is when I was climbing with rooftops, with my friend Adam, who I brought up earlier, and then my other friends Ray and Scott. Shout out to the boys, three. But yeah, I used to climb my PAC school with Adam, and we used to do it all the time, and it was a lot of fun. And we would always climb up there, and I would always be feeling this rush when I was up there. And then with my boys Ray and Scott, we would be climbing rooftops around Philadelphia, and we would be trying to see the sights and get that vision because we were always searching for that new sight, that new perspective, and we were trying to find it within ourselves and in the physical world. So it was a lot of fun because I never really told him too much that I was afraid of heights like that. But I would always feel that intense feeling inside of me, and then it would just burst out because once you got to the top, it was just you were there, you were in the moment, and when that happens, everything else kind of just falls into place. So this is something that's a little different, but it's something that's interesting for myself at least and how I think about things. It's so we live in a society, right? That and this society it kind of gives us the opportunities and gives us the moments for ourselves so that we can grow and so that we can be challenged. And sometimes don't you just want to stop abiding by society's rules to just give into temptation and become something unnatural in this weird upside down world that we live in? Don't you want to let go and express yourself truly and completely? It's it's hard and it's different to kind of express yourself with no bounds and forget what people think and I guess act how you want to act regardless of everything else. And it's a hard feeling to kind of grasp, but it's something that you need to accept for yourself. If you're ever going to be the person that you truly want to be, you have to let go of society's rules and become who you want to be in a positive way. You don't need to go out killing people or doing anything crazy like that. No rape and pillage or nothing like that. Nothing evil. But you got to forget that society exists if you want to expand and if you want to grow into yourself because society is there to put limits and barriers to protect us because we need these defense mechanisms in our societies and in ourselves to protect ourselves from the pain of the outside world. But I just want to let you know that this pain is something that's good. You got to feel something in this world in order to understand it, in order to accept it. You got to feel alive. You don't want to be a zombie, someone that just is going with the motions, is just a flow. Meet, 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 meet. You don't want to be like that. There's so much more for you to experience if you put yourself out there and if you take these challenges head on. And I don't think that people will really, well, actually, people will be people. And sometimes we're unpredictable and sometimes we're very predictable. And in our own way, throughout the chaos, we find our balance and we find ourselves. And so the people that are around you that may tell you certain things, take it with a grain of salt. And the people who are important to you and try to give you advice, take it with a grain of salt. Because at the end of the day, this is your life and you live it how you want it. You know, don't let anybody tell you how you should live. Just make sure that you live to survive. You live to live for the next day, for the next morning, and for right now. In a place where the outside is illusion, in a place where the outside is an illusion, the inside is truth. It can't be seen with natural sight, unless, of course, you look within. Oh man, it's. Thank you so much for listening to this interlude episode. I kept it short because I wanted to just give you guys something to think about and something to reflect on because we're taking this and we're going full speed ahead, into the future. But I want you guys to also remember that Never forget where you came from. Never forget your roots. And never forget who you with. Sucker. I'm just kidding. That's more for the homies. But you guys are my homies too, so I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. And I love you guys. And I hope you can learn to love yourself too, if you don't already. 3.